Hello, welcome to this 10x live stream. So as quite a few people have newly discovered 10x recently, I thought on this stream I'd talk about just go through the 10x features, what's in the editor and why I wrote it. And then at the end we'll do a Q&A. If anyone has any questions, you can ask me there. So I've got a list of things I'll go through, and I'm going to go through it pretty quickly because, I mean, you all know how to use an IDE. But there are a few things that might be different about 10x. So yeah, this is it. This is 10x. I guess before I start, I should. Okay. Just checking my streaming's working. Before I start, I should say, why did I write 10x, or why am I writing 10x? Basically, I wanted an editor that was fast, really fast. And I come from the games industry, and I've been working on AAA games, which have typically very large code bases of millions of lines of code. And I needed an editor which would load up Visual Studio solutions and projects, and be fast, and have and for it to know about C++, go to definition, etc. And one extra thing I wrote, probably know most of you, I wrote a plugin for Visual Studio called FastFind. I'll just switch to Visual Studio. So this is FastFind. It does exactly what it says. Applies things fast, and I wrote this about 10 years ago, and I've been using it ever since. And I actually rely on it so much now in my workflow that it would be very hard for me to switch to an editor which didn't have this tool. So that's one of the things that stopped me from switching to other editors than Visual Studio. But there are lots of things about Visual Studio which aren't ideal for me. So as you do, I decided to write my own editor. So without any more talking, let's get into it. So I'm going to load the actual 10x solution source code in 10x. And as you can see, it's loaded instantly pretty much. And I mean, it's not an absolutely huge code base, but it's not small either. It's about 1 million lines of code with all of these projects. And it loads instantly. And that is really, really important to me. I'm a performance freak. I love profiling, optimizing, getting the most out of performance that I can. So, okay, let's try a bigger project. Let's try shoot a game for Unreal Engine. Again, it's loaded instantly. It takes a few more seconds for the project to come in asynchronously. It's loading the parser cache there, and then we'll get full syntax highlighting. So yeah, it's a little bit slower, but it's still pretty quick. You know, you can start editing instantly. And shoot a game, you know, this Unreal Engine is about 8 million lines of code. So this is a pretty big project. And if you're not using Visual Studio projects, you can also open a folder. Let's try that one. Again, almost instant, and it's loaded a folder with all of these libraries. You know, this is probably hundreds of thousands of lines of code. So yeah, I mean, hopefully it covers most people with their workflow. Let's go back to 10x. So yes, so I was talking about FastFind. So obviously I've added FastFind into 10x. Type if I can help. So again, like I said, I rely on this, what I call Workspace Search in 10x an awful lot. For jumping around huge projects, it's absolutely invaluable. And as you can see, it updates as I type. And this is going through every single line of code in the entire project as you type. and it also has operations. So you can have wildcards. Let's find warnings. And you can also use operators like and, so it will find anything with that and that in any order. There's a page on the website that tells you what documentation. Like one page of documentation so far. Just gives you an idea of what sort of things you can do. So for me, this is probably the most powerful thing in 10x. And you can also open files and stuff as well. So that's Workspace Search. Oh yeah, yeah, let's do OpenFile next. So this is the OpenFile dialog, just like you see in other editors. Let's go for double string again. It also has obviously fuzzy matching, so WString builder file can be WSB even. So all the things you'd expect from that. So the other major feature about 10x is its C++ parser, which is probably what I've spent the most time on. And it has all the usual things again you'd expect: go to definition, find references. Find references is nice because you get a preview as well as you go through it. So let's find something that's left pointer. No, not that one. So again, everything 10x has to be fast. That's my one rule. So you can see it scrolling through all the lines, giving you previews of every single file, and it's all there absolutely instantly. So what else? Obviously we've got autocomplete. And that also has fuzzy matching as well. We can rename as well. Let's find a nice one that should. Let's just do that. And that should work across, again, the entire project. So let's whiz through what we've got in the menu. So as I said, it can open up Visual Studio projects, folders. Let's go through paste history, blah, blah. The encoding, all the usual file encodings, even Japanese I did recently. Multicurser, yeah, it's got multicursor. So if I can remember the keybones, I don't usually use multicursor much. The one thing I do like is the Control D, which selects the next thing with multicursor so that you can then rename it as such. That's pretty useful. So what else we got? Moving panels around. That's another thing I really wanted from my editor, is to be able to really easily move panels around. Except it's not working, of course. This is a demo. Why would anything work? Let's try. Oh, how strange. Anyway, you can arrange panels any way you like, using usually the Control Alt and arrow keys, which will move the panels around. That's the bug I need to fix. Write that down. So by default, it'll open the header in the right column and the CPP in the left. You can change that in the settings if you want. It's just the way I like to work. I like to be able to see the header as I'm editing the source. So building, you can build the projects. It'll use MSBuild and just build the actual solution. So it's doing exactly the same thing as you would from Visual Studio. Obviously, for your own folder projects, you can add your own custom commands, etc. So let's see. Let's open a small project. So yeah. The 10x doesn't have a debugger yet. Hopefully one day it will, but that's, as you can imagine, a big project. At the moment, I've added some syncing to Visual Studio. So if I press F5 here, all going well, it will start up Visual Studio and start the debugger and run it from there. Taking a while. There you go. No, then it's running. I've also synced breakpoints, so you can set a breakpoint in 10x, and that'll also automatically get synced over to Visual Studio. As you see, it's broken there now. And if I remove it from Visual Studio, all going well, it's gone from here as well. So it's something, I'm going to see how it works out. I can add more syncing of things like which file is open, where the cursor is, etc. Over time. We'll see how that goes. But I actually like the Visual Studio debugger, so I'm quite happy to keep using that. Someone's even added support for the MSBuild debugger using the Python scripting, which I'll show you in a minute. So yeah, that's possible. Let's go back to 10x. I think if there's anything else. I mean, if you want to find any commands in 10x, or does 10x do whatever, the best thing is just to look through the menus, because it's all there and it shows you the key bindings as well. So hopefully it's got most things. If there's anything it doesn't have, then do let me know, and I'll see about adding it. So that's the parser, goes to definition, etc. Find symbol, find references, rename, go to header file. Building I just talked about, debugger I just talked about. So settings, color schemes. So we've got color schemes, so you can have whatever you like. That's horrible. Anyway, going back to that. You can edit the color schemes as well. Obviously, if you here you can see which just give it an RGB value. You have hours of fun creating your own color scheme. The settings are broken down into local settings and the main settings. Now, local settings are obviously just for your local PC. Things like the Perforce client, diffing, the license details and stuff. And then the main settings, all of the settings in here. And the reason I split that up into two is because it's very useful to be able to share your main settings between PCs. So you can put this on a cloud somewhere and point it at that, and it will use that file across all of your devices. I'm not going to go through all of these settings, but they're getting more and more settings every day. Setting the font, be a bit careful setting the font, just give it the name of the TTF file that's in your fonts folder without the .ttf at the moment. And you should be able to use any font you want. scale is the one I quite like. I spent actually a lot of time with this. So you can set any scale you like. As you see, it's scaled everything up, and it does it. This is DPI scaling, so whatever scale you set it to, it's not going to just blur everything to bits. It'll render the font at the screen resolution, so it'll always be the highest definition. And if you set it to auto, it just uses the Windows DPI scaling. So everything should always look really crisp. I mean, I've even authored the button bitmaps at all the different main scales to make it look absolutely precise at any scale, hopefully. Right. So yeah, as you saw in the settings, it has perforce bindings. So as I edit the file, it will, as soon as you've got your binding set up, it will check out the file in perforce, and you can also do diffs, revert history, etc. So yeah, no changes there. Let's see. Yeah, if you want to see all the commands in 10x, you can do list commands from the help. Just list them to the output window. Give a brief description of each command and the key bindings. These are the default key bindings, I think. And then these are the Python API functions, which I'll come to in a bit. You can also do it from the console. So if you do Shift Control X, it'll bring up the command console. For example, list commands there. Which can be a really powerful thing. So this, for example, if I want to do a diff here and I can't remember, or I don't want to use the mouse, you can just do that. It'll do the diff command. Because I'm terrible at remembering key bindings for stuff. I've only got a very small cache in my head, so I like to just type in the command like so. It also has automatic updating, so when I push an update, you'll see a green update button somewhere up here. Press the update and it will shut down and restart and update 10x all seamlessly. So I've done settings, key bindings. Oh yeah, show the key bindings. So it's just basically a text file, and all these files are stored in the updater folder. So updater roaming 10x. Got the log files, crash dumps if you do have a crash, which hopefully you won't. Settings, again, local settings, main settings, key bindings, etc., stuff like that. Cache, you can delete the cache entirely and it'll rebuild everything. And data for each workspace you work on, stuff like that. So that's really useful to know where stuff is. Key binding is very simple. Put in the key and the binding, and that's it. The other nice thing with the key bindings is you can bind to Python functions in the Python scripting API. So, for example, Alt-H is bound to hello world, which is a Python script. So if I do Alt-H, use it here. Again, that can be really powerful. I haven't really explored the full potential of that yet, to be honest. But yeah, so let's show you where the scripts live. Python scripts in the updater folder again. So, example, just prints hello world. It's as simple as that. Let's look at some of the other while we're in here. Snippets, let's take a look at that. As you can see, there's no syntax highlighting yet. I've only got syntax highlighting in C++ so far, but I'll be adding more as we go on. So this is a nice little example. So what the script does is when it gets run, it hooks into 10x char key function. So when you press a key, it'll call this. Which calls this. And then it just detects what you're doing. So that this one, if you type // it does one of my breaks, comment breaks I have between functions. It just does that using insert text. So it detects the sequence that you're doing, and then you can do anything. As I said, the Python API is growing all the time, and at the moment it's got these functions, and it's pretty powerful. You can hook up quite a lot of things already, and this is how I do my test framework as well. It's all written in Python scripts, so my test framework stresses the editor and I currently have all of these functions that stress every single feature I can think of and check that it does what it's supposed to do. Such as all the goto definition and stuff like that. So yeah, it's a really powerful system, the Python scripting. So what next? So yeah, if 10x if it does crash, there's a backup system that saves your unsaved file every 5 seconds. So the most you'll lose is 5 seconds of work. So if you've got an unsaved file and it crashes, just restart 10x and it should magically restore the file to where you were. I think got through most of it now. Yeah, so let's go to website. There's a bug database on GitHub currently. Don't have that many bugs yet because a lot of people are reporting bugs to me in the Discord chat. But you can also report them here, which is quite a nice system. And if you ever need to upload a crash dump, you can upload it here somewhere. Yeah, upload crash dumps here. And yeah, I think that's it. So let me know if you have any questions. Type them in the chat. And let me just check. So yeah, if you have any questions, then do contact me. And if you want to help support 10x, then I'd be really happy if you could do that, and then you can get access to the Discord chat and bug me with features and bugs that you find, and that'd be really helpful. So yeah, if there are no questions, then I'll say thanks for watching, and hopefully see you again soon. Okay, bye for now.